Hi, I'm Cecilia. Welcome to today's study of Genesis. For more of me, find me on my Facebook, my Instagram, LinkedIn, and also my website. With them, you'll know more of who I am and what I stand for. A recap of what we have learned so far. We have seen throughout the book of Genesis from chapter 11 that we are concentrating with one man called Abraham. Firstly, he was called Abram, but later on God changed his name to Abraham, and also his wife was called Sarai, but later on God changed her name to Sarah, and they were called from the land of Ur of the Chaldeans, and they came to the land of Canaan, the land of promise, and God promised them a son. And they waited for 25 years before that son was born, and his name was Isaac. And then later on, Sarah passed away, and Abraham bought a land in the Philistine area from a person called Ephron, and the land was much better. And the reason why he bought that land was to bury his wife Sarah, because to that point Abraham did not own any place in the land of Canaan. He was still a foreigner or a sojourner in that land, and later on he sent his servant to go and get a wife for his son Isaac, because he did not want his son Isaac to marry any of the women of the Canaanites, and also he did not want his son to go back to where he is from to get a wife there. So he sent the servant, and the servant came back with Rebecca, and Rebecca became the wife of Isaac. And that is how we ended chapter 24. If you want to learn more of Abraham and his dealings with God, we have a whole selection of teachings from the book of Genesis chapter 11 all the way. Now we are in chapter 25. So today we're going to read chapter 25 verses 1 to 11 and see what happened next after now Isaac and Rebecca were married. And the word of God says, Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan fathered Sheba and Dedan. The sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Leumin. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Abraham gave all he had to Isaac, but to the sons of his concubines Abraham gave gifts. While he was still living, he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the east country. These are the days of the years of Abraham's life, 175 years. Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man full of years, and was gathered to his people. Isaac and Ishmael his sons buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron the son of Zohar the Hittite, east of Mamre, the field that Abraham purchased from the Hittites. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. After the death of Abraham, God blessed Isaac his son, and Isaac settled at Beer-lahai-roi, and that is the word of God. From the passage that we've just read, what can we observe from it? Firstly, we see that Abraham did not only have one wife, he had also Keturah, his second wife, and also we learn that he had other concubines. And also we can see that he not only have two children, that is Ishmael and Isaac, but he had 6 other sons, and we are told of Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua, whom Keturah bore for him. And of the children of Keturah, we are only told more details about 2 of the children, that is Jokshan and Midian. And we are told about Jokshan that he fathered Sheba and Dedan, and also told his third generation were also, like the sons of Dedan, were Ashurim, Letushim, and Leumin. And also we are told of Midian that he fathered Ephah, Epher, Honak, Abida, and Eldah. So we're told more details about the 2 sons that Keturah bore. And all the inheritance that Abraham had went to Isaac, and the other sons that he had, or children that he had, he gave them gifts, and also he sent them away to the east country, far away from where Isaac lived. And also we are told that Abraham then died. He made sure he did all of that before he died. So he died at the age of 175 years. And we are told that Ishmael came back to bury his father together with Isaac, and they buried him in the same burial place that they buried his late wife Sarah. And after the death of Abraham, we are told that God blessed Isaac, and he went back to live in Beer-lahai-roi, the place where he was before he married Rebecca. So from what we can observe, what can we learn from it? Firstly, we see that Abraham did not only have one wife and 2 sons. We only know of Ishmael and Isaac mostly, and also only of Sarah, but here we are told Keturah and also other concubines that the names are not mentioned, and also other children that we have been told of. And then we see that that with all the children that Abraham had, he still had his special place to Isaac, because Isaac was a child of promise, and Isaac was whom the promises of God was going to come through, not through his other children that he had. So he made sure that Isaac inherited all that he had, and also he made sure that he gave provisions to his other children so they may not be left with nothing. And also he sent them away to make sure that Isaac will have a peaceful or safe place to stay without having to quarrel or wrangle with his other siblings. And Abraham lived a long, satisfying years. We are told he lived to 175 years before he passed away. And then the promises that God had made to him did not come true while he was still alive, in terms of his children being as many as the stars in the sky, and also in terms of him owning the land of Canaan, or his descendants inheriting the land of Canaan, because at the point of his death he was still a sojourner in the land of Canaan. He don't own anything apart from that burial place that he had bought from Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite. Yes, that is the only piece of land that he owned in the whole country of Canaan. But still he died believing and trusting in God for the promises that he had made, because he made sure that his son Isaac was in comfortable environment or comfortable space to be able to carry out, the task that he had already started, and that God would continue to work out through him. And since Isaac was the child of promise, we learn that Ishmael was not completely cut off from his father Abraham, but later on, when he learned of his death, he came back, and together with Isaac they buried him in the same place that Sarah, his wife, was buried, in the field of Machpelah, the place where he bought to be able to bury his dead wife. And that is the same place where Abraham was buried with his two sons. And that is what we can learn from the passage. What can we apply to our day-to-day life from the lessons that we have just learned? Firstly, we see that the years spent with God are fruitful and satisfying. We see that in the life of Abraham, that even though he did not get to see the completion of the promises that God gave to him, he still was able to live long, satisfying life and fruitful, and he was still able to see some of the promises, like seeing the birth of his son Isaac through Sarah, and also the prosperity that God had given to him wherever he went or wherever he dwelt in. And secondly, we can apply that faith is about whom you believe in, not what you see. We see that in the life of Abraham, he believed God even though he did not see him actually occupying or possessing the whole land of Canaan. He was still a foreigner or a sojourner at the time of his death, and also he did not get to see the many descendants as the stars in the sky. But still he trusted God. That's why he made sure that Isaac was well cared for at the point by the time he died, so that Isaac would not have wrangles with his other siblings, and also Isaac would still remain in the land of Canaan. And the other thing you can apply is to put structures in place to guard the deposits from God. So Abraham put structures in place to make sure that his son Isaac will be able to prosper or be able to dwell in safety in that land of Canaan, so that he will not have to, maybe from wrangles or from fights with his siblings, go back somewhere or go somewhere else or go back to where his father is originally from. But he was able to secure the place of Isaac in his household, so that even after his death, Isaac will still remain protected and secure. So he put structures in place to make sure that the promises or the deposits that God had given to him will continue on forward with his son Isaac. And the last thing we can apply is a good father takes care of the welfare of his household. We see that also in the example of Abraham, how he provided for his other children and also for his son Isaac, to make sure that they were all okay and they were all taken care of even after his death. And those are the lessons that we can learn, all things that we can apply to our faith from the passage that we have just read. And if there's anything else that you want to add on to it, please write it down in the comment section below. And I thank you for joining me today. Until next week, when we see each other again, goodbye and God bless you.